Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Nuts and Bolts. Merc, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, going a bit well. My voice, you can probably hear it on the audio version as well. I've got a bit of the flu at the moment, so if I cough from time to time, that's why. My voice is a little bit wobbly, but going well.
That's right, my voice is still a bit wobbly as well. This COVID, man, it's hanging around.
Oh yeah.
I'm 3-4 weeks out of it now, and I'm still sitting there going, blah. In fact, I'm heading over to Sydney at the end of the month, and I'm sitting there going, oh, I really need to dig out my mask, because if that's going to happen again, like, my work is definitely not going to be happy with me. But yeah, so hello to everybody again, and hello especially to our Patreons. Thank you so much for subbing to that. If you're in our Twitch chat right now, !support, you can get that link and go and sign up as a Patreon right there. And as part of the Patreon, we have a monthly giveaway, and this month we're actually doing 2 draws. So one, we have these box of Strixhaven School of Mages Magic cards. There is 30 booster sets in here, with each booster having 12 cards in there, and we're giving away 2 of them. So 2 of our lucky Patreons this month will walk away with some amazing Magic cards. Cannot wait. And you can be a part of that too, just by joining at any tier in our Patreon right there. And if you subscribe to tier 3, you get an annual exclusive merch drop, which we're very, very close to being able to announce and showing off to everybody. So that will be available soon. So keep your eyes out for that, for the level 3 Patreons right there. So very cool. And also you'll see their avatars ripped straight from Discord going around on it, the TV behind us here. So lots of cool stuff you get with our Patreon, and we very much appreciate you helping to support us here at Game on Oz to do what we do,
Yeah.
Because it's not just the shows. We've got Nuts and Bolts. Obviously, we're on that right now. We have the weekly show that happens every Wednesday night, and a new show starting up. Well, it's started. We've done 2 episodes of it. Pete and I doing like a Saturday morning breakfast type show, which is it's going well at the moment. I think we're slow. We played not Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom pretty much the whole session last week, and Pete brought in his OLED Zelda Switch. Wow. It's so nice, man. It is so cool.
So jealous.
But we're not here to talk about Zelda as much as I would really, really like to. I would like to put spoiler tags on this and just talk Zelda all freaking day. But we are here to talk esports. And first up, let's have a chat about the ANZPL for World of Tanks. So Friday night they had we'll call it the last round before the land final anyway. So South Sydney Scorpions took on the Perth Panthers in a battle to see who would go straight into the grand final, and Adelaide Action X took on the North Sydney Sentinels to survive pretty much, because the loser of that goes straight out the back door. And so we'll talk about the Panthers and the Scorpions first. So Scorpions, I think, have got to be the favourites at the moment. They're doing really well. They finished on top of the ladder. They're a very strong team. Their lineup hasn't changed much over the 2 or 3 years that they've been playing, and they've always sort of been that perpetual runner-up to North Sydney Sentinels. So seeing them fire has been really good. Personally, a little bit disappointing, because they did beat the Panthers 4-2 in a best-of-7 series there. So but it was very entertaining to watch. It was a lot closer game. Well, I shouldn't even say that scoreline is a close game. Like it's a best of 7, and when you've got 2, you've won 2 games. That's it. So it was very close. So the Scorpions did win that, and they go straight through to the grand final there. So that's going to be very exciting. But we don't know who they're playing yet, because the game before the grand final game is basically the lower bracket final to find out who will go into that grand final and who will end up with 3rd place. And the Panthers will be one of the teams playing in that 3rd place game. But there was also Action X and the Sentinels that we needed to find out who was going to go through to the lower bracket final there. And look, Action X did seem to have the wool over the Sentinels for the last couple of seasons, which is surprising, because like the Sentinels they've won 2 or 3 championships in a row. No, I need a cough. And look, I thought that they might have been smurfing a little bit, just taking it easy, because they ended up finishing 5th. 5 teams play finals, so I thought that they're just going to turn it on in finals and get all the way to the grand final. But what actually happened was Action X took the win, so they won 4-3. So that went the full distance to the whole 7 games there. So now we're definitely going to see a new champion in the ANZPL, which I think is very exciting. But in fairness, there's only been 2 teams that have won it. The Sentinels have won a crap ton, and the Matildas are the other team that have won one. Sorry, excuse me there. So now we've got our third a lower bracket final, where the Panthers will take on Action X there to see who will play in the grand final. And that is happening live at LAN, Fortress Sydney, 27th of May. I'm excited. That's what I'm going over to Sydney for. I'm so excited for that. It's going to be very, very cool. Cannot wait to get to see 2 games. It's going to be hard for that team in that the third place match though, because whoever wins that then has to back it up again with another series. I think like there's an hour, maybe an hour and a half kind of break between it, but
not even a day break.
No. It's like you'll play 2 series in the same day. It's going to be very, very entertaining to say the least. And look, I think these are the 3 best teams this season as well. So it's kind of come out in the wash, because the other team that played in the top 5 for the finals was the Matildas, who were looking kind of good, but they went out in the first week of the grand finals when the Sentinels beat them. So it's definitely going to be interesting. We get a week off this week for that, because obviously the players are on a break and they're arranging flights and stuff for everybody to get over to Sydney. I think most of the South Sydney Scorpions live in Sydney anyway, so that'll be all right. But look, and that said, I don't know where a lot of these guys live, because it used to be 3 of your roster had to be from the city you were named after, but they changed the rules for this split. So only the captain needs to be. Okay. So the other, they've got a 7-player roster, but only 5 can play at a time. So they got subs; they can sub in and out. And I don't know where they all rest live. They could all live in Sydney for all I know. So there might not be a lot of flights.
Who knows? Looks like a bit of a rematch in this lower bracket final. Is that correct?
It is. So Action X and Panthers played off in the first week of the finals, which the Panthers won. It's interesting because one of the main players for Action X, CJ, I think he's their shot caller, but I think they've got a couple other shot callers that can pinch hit there as well. But I'll get the word soon. CJ's gone on holidays. Oh, wow. So I think he's in Japan at the moment. So he's not going to be here for the LAN final. So it's a big component of their team that is not going to be there for the final. So it'll be very interesting to see how they go. And if, because I'm trying to remember in the regular season, I think Action X beat the Panthers in a tiebreaker. Okay. So it's always been pretty close, because it was a 4-3 win to the Panthers in the first round of finals as well. So they're very closely matched, and hopefully for us, the Panthers can come out on top. But yeah, very exciting there. So if you're interested, if you're in Sydney and would like to see this, there are tickets on sale for the grand final. There is a free ticket, but just so they know how many people are going to rock up. But then there's different tiers where you can get access to like the bar card and whatnot, which I think is like $20 that it costs. And so it's not a huge amount of money. And like I said, you can get the free ticket if you want and just buy drinks and food that you're interested in. I know last year, I'm pretty sure I drank more than because when did I go? Not the last one, the one before. So the split one last year, I went over to Fortress Melbourne for then. I definitely drank more than $20 worth of booze right there. So that was fun. So that is going to be very exciting to see. If you're keen to go and see the grand final of the ANZPL, jump over. I think it's fort.pub/ANZPL. If not, it'll be on the the World of Thanks ANZ Twitter page, and also on the World of Tanks website as well, that you can find.
And check out Fortress. You know.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to see Fortress Melbourne.
Oh yeah.
Not Melbourne, sorry, Sydney. I've been to Fortress Melbourne a couple of times now, but Fortress Sydney, I'm keen to see, especially in their arena that they've got. They've got like these VIP boxes now,
wow.
which Fortress Melbourne doesn't have. So yeah, no, I'm very keen to see it. Even if you want, just pop down, have a drink, and have a feed, see what's going on there.
I know that Melbourne has like Sunday D&D day, which is like incredible to watch. I was there after DreamHack, and it was just so good.
I did think about doing that, but I can't. What did I do on Sunday? I can't even remember now.
Probably slept.
Probably.
It was a wild.
Oh, that's right. Because Natty, who used to host Nuts and Bolts as well, was there as well, but she was flying home on the Sunday night. So we were walking around for a bit and finding her an Uber home and back to the airport, so she could fly home. So it was I'm pretty sure I must have gone straight home and had something to eat and gone to bed, because it was a big weekend.
But huge weekend.
So much fun at DreamHack. So much fun at all these LAN events. Absolutely love it. And speaking of LAN events, there has been some more stuff from the Blast Paris Major. So I know it's only been a week, but the Challenger stage has finished, and the Legend stage, which was the next one. So that happened pretty quickly. Unfortunately for OCE hopefuls Greyhound Gaming, they didn't make it out of the Challenger. They ended up finishing 10th in that, and they needed to finish 8th to get through to the Legend stage. So unfortunately they didn't get through, but they won 2 games. I do remember watching one. We were talking about it last week, where it was just really awesome to see it come back, because that was the 12-2 game that they were down at the switch, and then they came back and won it. So that was very fun to watch as a Greyhound fan.
Yeah, that was their first game against I believe it's the team that's right above them in the standings. But yeah, it was incredibly close from them, and I think Conky said it best on Twitter. Check him out; he's a king. He, the last 3 major events, Greyhound have gone from 0-3 to 1-3 to 2-3. They've been constantly improving, and everyone has been talking about it.
So next we're expecting like a 3-0, and they'll go through. I'm seeing a pattern emerge here.
Yeah, I mean, even their last 2 series, while they did lose, they showed incredible talent, and it was a bit difficult watching it live because it was like 3 a.m. in the morning. So I was mainly just watching the VODs, but Greyhounds. I hope to see more of them in the future, and they'll always show up. They've been grinding out, trying to improve as much as they can, going to as many tournaments as they can. I mean, we just saw them at ESL Challenger Melbourne like a week before they flew out to Paris.
Yeah.
The tenacity on these players is incredible.
Yeah. It's amazing to watch. And even like it was, I know there was a team that was here for DreamHack Complexity. I saw not so long ago, they put out a tweet about how much they'd travel. And this was, I think, a North American team based in Texas. And it was like, this was back in March, and they'd done something stupid like 500 hours of flying as a team already. It's
incredible.
Yeah. So, yeah, the fact that we've got teams that come in and back it up like this, it's very impressive to see, and very sad to see Greyhound not get through, but great to see that they're improving.
Yeah, absolutely. Another surprising result, Nagus Vincier, otherwise known as Navi, with not arguably, the best player in the world, Simple, on their roster, failed to make it out of the Legend stage.
Oh wow!
Which was
so
were
they in the? They weren't in the Challenger stage. They went straight into Legend stage.
No, Ninjas. They made it straight into Legend stage. Historically, again, one of the best teams in the world, major winners. Simple himself is a Grand Slam, I think, Intel and IEM.
Oh wow!
Like, he is like the faker of
he's God.
CSGO.
He's God.
Yeah. Failed to make it out, losing in that last qualifying game to FaZe Clan, as well as Team Liquid earlier on, who went 3-1 in that showing. And both FaZe Clan and Team Liquid, I believe, are going up against each other in the first stage of the bracket.
Well, we can have a look at that about the championship stage here, and I apologise, Mercury, because I haven't zoomed in enough for this one, and I can't on this keyboard. But it is. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. Hang on. We've got.
Shout out to all of our audio-only listeners, by the way. I know my
yeah.
mum's among them, and she was like,
Hey.
what are they saying when they're looking at the TV all the time?
Yeah,
But
that's it. So we have Heroic taking on FaZe Clan in the first quarterfinal. Gamer Legion versus Monty. Team Liquid versus Apex. And Into the Breach versus Team Vitality in the quarterfinals there. So that's going to be some pretty explosive games.
Yeah, and Apex as well. That was the team that 16-0'd Greyhound in their second game of the major.
That.
Yeah, we weren't going to talk about that too much.
But yeah, so very exciting to see. And look, I know there's been some talk about how people aren't liking that there's been these upsets, but I tell you what, it makes the game more exciting for me. Just seeing different teams get up, because if the same teams win over and over again, like that's just boring. Let's put a bit of excitement into it and unexpected qualities that you'll see in these games. So yeah, it could be anybody's at the moment, the way things are going in Blast Paris Major there. So good luck to all the teams, and no doubt this time next week we'll be back with some results on who's won that.
Yeah, I think the first series starts a few hours after this goes live tomorrow.
Yeah, I think 9 o'clock Australian Western Standard Time, the first game is on Thursday night. So yeah, just after we finish up here, you can watch us and then go off and do whatever you need to do and come back and watch the game. Yeah. Amazing. And more internationals going on at the moment. So we have MSI still happening. So the road to the grand final is happening. So the upper bracket final has its teams there. It is JD Gaming, I think. Once again,
JDG.
My eyes there. Once again, once again, I'll remember to zoom in more, or maybe even put. We got these two screens here. Why don't I put it on one of? In fact, let's do this. Let's actually do something smart. And look at that! Isn't that much better? We can look down at this screen now and see what's going on.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
So T1 and JD Gaming are playing off in the upper bracket final to see who's going to be in that grand final. So they've got a little bit of time before that happens. But in the meantime, oh my God, I wish this cough would go away.
Yeah.
We've got Gen G Esports versus Cloud9, and so like Cloud9 gets a little bit of Aussie support, I think, because of Fudge, the Australian player that's playing on Cloud9 there. But I'm not sure where Gen G is from, but Cloud9's NA, aren't they?
Yeah, Gen G is the Korean first seed, my favorite team in the league. They were formerly Samsung Galaxy back in the day when they won the World Championship.
Jesus, that's not a product placement name at all, is it?
Yeah, well, their previous team was Samsung White, and they won in 2014 the World Championship, and then they switched it over to Gen G, and that was a very, very close upper bracket semi-final against T1. It was a rematch of the Korean finals. Went all the way to 5 games, and T1 clutched it out in the end. T1, for those of you who aren't aware, if you're not, why are you here? Yeah. But also, for those who may not be in the bubble, T1 is arguably the best team of all time. They've won 3 world championships, more than any other team ever. They've got the best player in the world, Faker, who I mentioned earlier, and they were the runners-up of last world championships where they lost to DRX.
So very strong team there, and you can see why they're sitting in that upper bracket final there. And of course, the winner of the Gen G and Cloud9 matchup will go through to the lower bracket semi-final against Billy Gaming, I think it is. Yes. BLG, I think is that what their acronym is. So I actually got to watch a little bit of their game against G2 last night. It was a bit of a stomp in the end. Like when G2 took that one game, I thought, oh, here we go. We've got a series on our hands then, but no, BLG just sort of came back and took that on right there.
Yeah, I mean, game 3, which was ultimately, I think, the nail in the coffin. G2 was so far ahead in the early game, they were looking poised to take it. And I don't actually know too much about what happened because I just assumed that they would win, and I went on to play Tears of the Kingdom for about 15 minutes, and then I came back and they lost the game.
Yeah.
And then game 4, they just got destroyed. The West, this event has looked very, very bad.
Yeah.
They have failed to take. I think in the upper bracket they took 1 game, and that was G2 taking a game off of Gen G.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it does suck to see, you know, especially when a lot of these games have been close, right? Mad Lions versus T1 in the upper bracket quarterfinals. Game 1 was really close, and it looked like they were going to take it. And then T1 just knocked them out 3-0, took the entire series. It was not fun. Mad Lions, their final game, they got beaten in 17 minutes.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh, that's super.
Sorry,
quick.
16:47.
But still super quick, man.
Yeah,
like, that's ridiculously
I think it's
quick.
the second fastest competitive game of all time, only second to China's Invictus Gaming, who were the reigning champions at the time from the World Championship at MSI 2019, taking down T1.
Oh wow! Jesus.
So a bit of irony there, coming back to buy it.
But still exciting. There's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more games, including the grand final. I think I was looking. I think the grand final is on at a time when I'm away. On the 21st. That's next. That's this weekend, Sunday.
Yeah, it's only 4 days from now.
Oh, and it's like a Sunday night. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I wonder where's putting it on.
It's in London, so the time zone is actually really good for us for once. You know, it starts at like I think 6 p.m. Sometimes a bit earlier.
I'll have to hit up Frankie from Respawn to run. So Respawn's like a pop culture party that gets run here. But last time for Worlds, he teed up with a bar to open up at 7 in the morning so that they could show the game. I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to hit up Frankie again. Give us a call, Frankie. Let us know if you're doing something because I will be at that. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the MSI at the moment, and we do have some local league news, even though we haven't don't have games at the moment. LCO's on a bit of a break, but this got announced the day after we recorded, and we were asking questions about who was going to take Peace's spot.
Yeah.
The fun part about pre-recording is that news will drop, and we won't have time to get it out there, but we do want to say a big welcome to Vertex Esports Club, who will be joining the LCO for Split 2. It's going to be fun. I wonder what players they're going to be picking up.
Yeah, I mean, a very storied oceanic organization. If you've followed Valorant, if you've followed CSGO, they have been prolific in those 2 games. I've had the pleasure of casting them quite a few times in Valorant, particularly in LPL and all that sort of stuff. Joining the league to take Peace's spot. Obviously, you know, a bit of
all the drama that happened with them.
The elephant in the room of Peace this year, you know, being unable to field a full team for 5 of the 8 games of the regular season, and after that, along with all the other stuff about them not being able to pay their players.
Alleged, I'm going to put that
alleged,
because nothing ever got officially announced. But from the Twitter feeds of some of their ex-players, they weren't happy.
Taking their spot and joining the league, and I'm excited to see the Direwolves versus Vertex sort of wolf pummel that people have been hyping up.
What would you call it? A wolf fight? I'm sure you're going to have to. Some better minds than us are going to get together and come up with a really good name for that.
Yeah, we've already got the Perth pummel, which is Pentanet versus GZ. I'm excited to see what they can bring.
Is it Chiefs and Bliss are both in Brisbane, aren't they, or Queensland? So you know.
Yeah, I think they're the Brisbane battle or something like that. They've met a fair few times. I'm sure there's a name for it at this point. But very excited to see that news. Especially, you know, we don't have an official start date for Split 2 yet. But I would imagine if they are, you know, going to tee it up with ESL and all of that, you know, coalescing together, potentially another DreamHack later in the year. Nothing's been announced just yet, and I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. No,
but it would be pretty cool if we got another DreamHack for that. Like, and surely they would make it a live event.
Absolutely,
like, it would be somewhere like the Fortress Fortress Melbourne or Sydney, they've got a nice area there that could potentially be used for an LCO Grand Final. Would be very cool to see right there.
Absolutely, yeah. Another thing as well, Worlds this year, the top 2 teams from Split 2 will go to the PCS playoffs, like we did for MSI. However, the top 2 PCS teams will qualify, not just the top team. So slightly higher chance that we will make it to the World Championship, although I'm not going to curse anything just yet.
Look, after our showing this season at the PCS, I'm not holding my breath either. I am kind of curious to see what Pentanet could do if they could get there with how they've been scrimming against Southeast Asian teams and things like that. So I think that could be very interesting.
Yeah.
But they've still got to get out of the LCO. Like, that was the problem this season. They weren't scrimming much against the other LCO teams. They've been based here in Perth and have been scrimming Southeast Asia. But I guess that may have put them in good stead if they got to the PCS, but they didn't. And that's the plain fact of it at the end. Like, the preparation for, they were preparing for something when they hadn't gotten past the first stage.
Yeah, it's like trying to bake a cake without all of the, all of the previous ingredients. You're like, okay, I've got chocolate here, that's enough. It's like, whoa, back it up a bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, again, they did well at the start of the split, but then they just fell off as soon as it got to playoffs, pretty much.
Well, no, because in playoffs, the first week, I think they beat Direwolves, didn't they?
They did,
and
yes.
Then there was a rematch and Direwolves beat them.
Yeah, there were a few. There was a fair few matches where they honestly should have won.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Bliss and
I have a hard time with their jungler. Like,
Empire.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if it's just a jungler problem, but like, him and Balkan last season just seemed to dive on fights when the rest of the team weren't ready. Yeah.
Shenfire is a very hot-headed player. Anyone who knows Oceanic history will know Shenfire isn't necessarily the least inflammatory player. He has gotten banned a few times for some spicy comments, one of which was while he was at Worlds on Direwolves, I believe, and then they had to get Ubisoft to sub in.
Oh, Jesus.
Went to NA. I hope that mellowed him out for a little bit. He was on Team Liquid Academy for a little bit. Came back. Now he's on PGG, and I would hope that reunited with Chippies, they sort of become that leadership role model for the younger players on that roster, and hopefully we see a better showing. Hopefully a top 2 finish from them next.
It would be nice, but I'm also keen to see Bliss continue their success.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd like to see, like, I want to see these new teams do really well. And like, I know Kanga lost the good portion of their players to Bliss for this split, but I'd like to see Kanga do better. I'd like to see Ground Zero do. I want to see Mammoth do better. Come on, like they've been down there so long, and I just would like to see them win, a handful of games or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can hope.
Yeah.
But nothing has been confirmed in terms of, again, starting dates just yet. But when that breaks, we'll let you know.
That's it. No doubt it'll be, I reckon, that after MSI, I reckon they'll start announcing that sort of stuff. But more upcoming international news. I didn't know about this one. You put me onto this. But it's the Valorant Masters Tokyo that is happening in June. 11th of June it kicks off, which is 2-3 weeks away. Not very far at all.
Yeah, they usually tee up Masters around the same time as MSI. Obviously, it's Riot. They run the whole thing. I remember back in 2021 when COVID was still happening, they had, I think, Masters and MSI both at Reykjavik in Iceland.
Jesus, that would have been hell for accommodation.
It wasn't too bad because it was all remote and there was no crowd or anything like that.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It might have been Worlds. I'm not 100% sure. But they had 2 events back to back, and it was good because they used the same stage. But this time around, Masters is in Tokyo. Teams from EMEA, Europe, Middle East, Africa, the Americas, and APAC are going to be there, as well as 2 teams from China. EMEA will have 3 teams because Fnatic won lock-in earlier this year. So congratulations to them. The finals is June 25th, which is my 21st birthday. So
Hey,
I'm really excited for that.
Happy
Gonna be-
birthday for then. I'm sure we'll say it again. And thank you for making me feel very old.
Yeah, yeah,
on
I
that.
am-
Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
I single-handedly bring down the average age of Game on Oz by probably about 5 years, I would say.
Oh, yeah. No, there's a good
Yeah.
portion of us that are over 30 and some that are pushing 40.
Yeah.
That might be me, but. But yeah, so it would be very exciting to see. There's, I think, 2 teams locked in already for Valorant Masters. We've got Edward Gaming,
Yep,
and Attacking Soul Esports, and so Seoul as in SOUL, not Seoul as in Korean city.
I haven't seen too much of it. I'm going to just call them ASE. I haven't seen too much of them. EDG. They were at lock-in. They're a pretty storied League of Legends organization as well. They won the 2021 World Championship, as well as 2015 Mid-Season Invitational. Excited to see how that turns out. This is the first year where they're only planning on running 1 Masters event. In previous years, they've had sometimes, I think last year they had 2, and the year before they had 3, but one of them was online. Excited to see how that goes. All of it really leading towards the culmination later in the year of Valorant Champions, which will be, I believe it's going to be all held in the Kia Forum in Los Angeles.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like Valorant was a 2020 game that came out at pretty much height of COVID.
Yeah.
And to see it become what it is only a couple of years after launch, that's pretty impressive. And I know Riot has the money to be able to do it, but still the community have to be there around the game. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember from the early days of Valorant, people were talking about, oh, this audience online is cool and all, but what's going to happen when it goes to stage? Is there still going to be the hype? And we've seen it time and time again. We saw it in Istanbul last year for Champions. We saw it in Sao Paulo for lock-in this year.
Well, Riot knows how to put on an event.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Say what you will about some of what they do, particularly here in OCE, but they know how to put on a show. Like they get super artists to make songs and perform, like Imagine Dragons and Lil Nas X doing the performing there. It's ridiculously good. So like I'm glad to have seen it take off, because you can put all the money you want into this, but if the people don't like it, they're not going to come.
Yeah. And we have a little bit of a claim in that, skyrocketing it with our Game on Oz Valorant tournament.
Yes.
Back in the day, that
of course, without us, Valorant would never be wouldn't have taken off in the way it did.
Yeah, of course. Don't want to toot my own horn.
No, that's right. But some more Valorant news, and this one's a little bit weird. So there was the 32nd Southeast Asian Games. So, and there was a Valorant tournament as part of that, because given that it's the 32nd one, I'm going to guess it's like more an athletic event than whatnot. But they got Valorant there as well. And there were 2 teams, Singapore and Indonesia, that were playing here. One of the teams were believed to have used a bug at the time to gain some advantage. And because of that, the other team forfeited the match, basically handing the cheats, for lack of a better word, because they weren't cheats. We want to get that out there by the sound of it. The official ruling is a very interesting one, which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, so they forfeited, handing the gold medal to the team that people thought were using a bug. But the officials have come out and said, basically, there was some confusion. They didn't use a bug, but their opponents thought it was a bug. So we're going to give them both a gold medal, which seems very weird.
Yeah, absolutely. This is coming straight from Elfish Guy on Twitter, who essentially said Team A, which I presume is Indonesia, but I'm not going to guess because I didn't get the chance to watch it, used a bugged Cypher cam. Cypher is a character in Valorant who has a little spy camera that he can put on a wall, and it can reveal the locations of enemies. Sometimes there are spots that are deemed game breaking, like they're not supposed to be able to put it in a certain location. But this one is not a bug. It is an actual spot. You just have to have a really high amount of skill to know exactly where to place it.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah. And Team B, I'm not sure which one is which, thinks it's a bug and forfeits the finals because they're like, well, I don't want to have to lose to a bug. It's the principle of it. Yeah. And I honestly think that Team B should get the silver medal. Like if it comes out and it's not a bug, then it's like you just got beaten. There's no other word to say it. You lost.
There's only two scenarios that I see that should have played out here. This isn't one of them.
Yeah.
One is that Team A has used a bug. They've gotten caught. They should lose. Debatable whether they should be disqualified altogether or get the silver medal, and the other team gets the gold.
Yeah.
But if what Team A did wasn't a bug, and Team B have forfeited anyway, well, they forfeited their right to the gold medal. So they should get silver then. Like those are the only two results for me. Like giving them both a gold is ridiculous. Like what there's no winners here, and both teams would probably come away feeling pretty sour with a bad taste in their mouth over this. So it's not a situation I would have liked for this.
Yeah, I think the thing for me as well, this feels like it lends even more. What's the word I'm looking for? It makes people question, like, oh, should this really be in Southeast Asian Games after all? If it's going to be this messy, and it's like, I can't fault them, but they're going to use that to push back on esports, and we've seen it in a few different places. I mean, obviously. I think you and Natty talked about it earlier, like the lineup of esports at the.
That's not esports.
Yeah.
The Olympics are not doing esports; they're doing virtual sports, and there is a difference.
Yeah, they're doing like essentially the Wii Sports versions as quote unquote esports, but we all know that's not really where esports is. No. Esports is League of Legends, it's Dota, it's CS:GO. It's Valorant, it's all that.
I would define esports as being in a video game, or significantly different to a real life sport. Because you could almost count FIFA as some of the competitions they do. You could almost count them as esports.
I don't mind FIFA as an esport, though, to be honest.
But all the stuff they're doing like virtual boxing and virtual this and virtual that, and it's really just the game that already exists at the Olympics virtually.
Yeah.
Like it's all done on the computer. It's stupid. It shouldn't. That's not esports. And the more the Olympics try to push that, the more they'll push traditional esports viewers away. And then they'll use that to say, "Oh, look, nobody watched it." Yeah, because it's not fucking esports. All right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I get hyped up about that.
No, I feel as well.
Sorry, I don't normally drop an F-bomb on this show, but I felt the situation warranted it.
It lends that it delegitimizes esports as a whole and everything that everyone in this region and every other region works to cultivate and build. And it sucks to see it being, murkied like this.
Yeah. I still really like what the Commonwealth Games did last year with they had an esports competition, but it wasn't part of the Commonwealth Games, but it was kind of like a trial run, I guess, and they did Dota and Rocket League.
Yeah.
I do know out of that the Rocket League got the best viewership, which I'm not surprised because Dota is like League. It's a complex game. You can't just sit there and watch it. Whereas Rocket League is, I'm driving a car and playing soccer. Let's go. Anybody can sit there and watch that and understand. Yeah, it's and I honestly feel like Rocket League is going to be our gateway esport into stuff like the Olympics because it's what people are and I also think the shooter games they're what's going to get us in your CS:GOs and your Valorants and probably to a lesser extent like your Valorant because those are also still harder to understand with the abilities, but stuff like Fortnite and things like that, those are going to be the esports that will make it into the Olympics because they're easy to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even in Oceania, Rocket League is probably by far our most viewed game, even contending with CS:GO. I will say, in terms of CS:GO being one of those gateways, it is a little bit murky because you have got those terms terrorist, counter-terrorist, and they are sort of intrinsically linked to that. I'm not sure because CS2 comes out, I believe, later this year. That could possibly change it to attackers and defenders.
Yeah.
But even still, who knows?
Yeah, you're right. Like I never really kind of thought about it like that, and like thinking back about how the casters talk about it at certain games. Like I've heard CT
and T.
Yeah. So like it would make sense for CS2 to change the terminology altogether and go attackers and defenders because, like, and this is the history of Counter-Strike though, because like it started off as a mod. This was a Half-Life mod that somebody made, and then it just became so huge, everybody loved it. Well, and in fact, Dota started that way. Dota was like a Warcraft 3 mod, wasn't it? And now it's the biggest esport in the world. You know? It's kind of crazy to see how all that evolves and grows and changes over time. And and another thing that's changing, growing esports in Australia, we always like to see that kind of growing. And there was an announcement that I saw from Ground Zero today, where they've partnered with Disability Sport and Recreation, which is a charity in Victoria, to do some gaming and esports initiatives for them in 2023, which sounds really cool. And like getting some of the disabled people that maybe don't quite have the mobility of others, and getting leagues like that up and running, doing something that they probably can do. It's going to be amazing and just be a way to engage with a new audience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it says right there, they're including workshops, custom matches, and an 8-week competitive league. I've actually had the pleasure of working with Ground Zero before when they were doing one of their big sort of activations in Mandurah Forum. It was over 2 weeks in the school holidays. They had huge like Rocket League setups, and kids could play Rocket League with and against each other.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. They've done it a few times since, I think, still down at Mandurah Forum. They've done it at various sort of shopping centres over time, and it's awesome to see, especially in Australia, New Zealand, esports organizations and really gaming as a whole begin to rise up and help people who are, in potentially other situations marginalized, be able to be seen in this industry.
I'd be keen to have a chat with Magnet Brain about this, because he's a big Rowan Crothers. I think he's an absolute king. He is very much a king of kings. He's a gold medalist, Paralympian athlete, and also very, very high up in Valorant as well.
Yeah, I've cast him a few times in Valorant. I think he has cerebral palsy. I don't want to. I think from memory, but yeah.
But I saw him on a panel at PAX last year about esports at the Olympics, and talking and seeing him talk on this is something that he's very passionate about. And I wouldn't be surprised if he pops up in this, because it sounds like something that he would be involved in. And yeah, it just sounds absolutely amazing. Cannot wait to see what Ground Zero do with disability sport and recreation there. We've got a couple more stories to get through before we finish up here, and I think more that we want to just kind of draw attention to this stuff. So, ACER High Schools Cup, powered by Predator, has officially kicked off. So 264 students, 43 teams, and 33 schools begin the battle for champions. So this is a high school competition that's being run, and like we were talking about last week, like this grassroots sort of stuff. This is amazing. This is where I love to see esports grow, and I feel like there's a good selection of games that are being played here with Smash Brothers Ultimate, Rocket League, and Overwatch 2. So I think that they're, like I say, they're easier to understand games as well, so the parents can get involved in watching what they're doing.
And I think as well, like, you look at even League of Legends, right? There's a lot of blood. Valorant and CS:GO, they're all about shooting people's heads. Whereas Overwatch, I feel like, is a very family-friendly version of CS:GO. Rocket League as well. Everyone loves Rocket League, and Smash Brothers is, while it is brutal, you know, you're beating people up, it is very mechanically intense, and it's also animated.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is all run by the Australian Esports League, AEL, and they'll have a number of divisions and state finals across, you know, different months of competition. I believe that, so the top 4 from each state go to the state finals, and then the best team from each state goes to the national finals, which will be in September. So excited to see where that, you know, if that goes, you know, possibly at Fortress Sydney, something like that. I think they would love to host.
Oh yeah, something like this would be amazing to see. Although I'm not sure how well they do having a high school event in a pub.
Yeah, that could be a little bit of an issue. Something I didn't think about, but yeah.
But there'll be plenty of other places where they can set up and do this, and it will be amazing to see all these high school kids really getting into their gaming and taking on each other there.
Always love to see collegiate and high school competition as well. I think, like grassroots is the future, especially in Oceania. We need to get more schools and stuff into esports and try and push for it in a way that's like, when I was in high school, I didn't even really, esports was a faraway dream for me. It was all about, seeing them at the World Championships. But nowadays it's actually, accessible. And I feel like, it's something that a lot of people love, and it's ultimately a really good thing, and it brings people together.
Yeah, amazing. So the last thing we're going to talk here about tonight, and it's tangentially related to esports, where some Overwatch 2 news has dropped today that the PvP mode that was advertised in the trailer at BlizzCon in 2019 is basically being dropped. So it sounds like they're still doing something, but it's not going to be anywhere near as involved as what was announced.
Yeah, this hurts. As someone who has grown up with Overwatch, I think I was 14 when the game first came out. Not to make you feel even more old.
That's right. I've never really been an Overwatch player, so I couldn't tell you timelines on Overwatch, so it doesn't make me feel so bad.
Yeah, it sucks to see. I love the world and the characters in there, and the competitive scene, while it is still prevalent, and I still tune in from time to time to watch some of the competitions. Some of it's on a decent time zone for us with the APAC region, but the PvE mode, which again was really, it was their one thing that's like, we're launching a whole new game. It's gonna, cost a fair amount of money for essentially a DLC. But we're gonna have this PvE mode, and then they were like, okay, that's awesome. We love these characters. We love this world. We love all the stuff you're showing. And then Overwatch 2 comes out, and they're like, okay, we're gonna hold back a little bit so we can get it right. Not gonna, release it just yet. There's a few things we need to do. And now today, it has been scrapped.
And what's this? It's only a handful of months after Overwatch 2 came out, full stop.
Yeah.
This smacks to me like they always planned to do this. Like they knew pretty early after the BlizzCon 2019 announcement that this was going to happen. So it's a little bit, it's sad, and I've already been seeing a lot of people on my Twitter timeline saying this was the only thing that I was saving Overwatch 2 on my hard drive for. I'm uninstalling now.
Yeah, it's honestly the same for me. I got quite into Overwatch's Season 1 competitive for Overwatch 2, but after that I just sort of fell off. The Battle Pass was way too grindy. They stripped away a lot of the ways to get free, like all the loot boxes and stuff that you used to be able to get just by leveling up. They stripped that away, and that really hurt a lot of the people who were not willing to spend $60 every season for a new Battle Pass.
$60 for how long did the Battle Pass go for?
It goes for like 3 months, or I think like 2 months. Every competitive season.
Yeah, 2 months is for $60. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and that's on top of the game you're already paying for.
Yeah.
Plus, you can't even really get any.
Well, I thought Overwatch 2 was free to play.
Might have been. Maybe I just bought the expanded edition.
Ah.
Either way, plus you've got the all the skins you used to be able to buy using the currency that you earned from the loot boxes. You can't do that now. It's all in one, and like there's bundles and it's a rotating shop, and it's all this thing that like it feels like this is the opposite of what Overwatch was always supposed to be. Overwatch was this hopeful, you hear that horn, trumpet, theme playing, and you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah. I will admit, like, I was doing a bit of pre-reading for this. I didn't realize that Overwatch spun out of a shutdown. I think was it MMO or an RPG or something. So I think
Titans,
and I think that's why. Well, it would be why all these characters have such amazing backstories, because they were ready for this game that ended up being canned and spun into Overwatch. And like, this is me speculating here, but I feel that's why Overwatch was so loved, because there was that care taken on Titans that sort of translated over to Overwatch. And now, because it's a multiplayer only game, they've decided they need to monetize the shit out of it and just turn it into something that players don't really like.
I mean, I don't know anything about the financials, but I think Overwatch probably earned a fair amount of money back when it was in its old form. People bought loot boxes when the seasonal events came around. There was huge YouTubers doing like unboxings of like 100 of the seasonal crates and all that kind of stuff, and that was really awesome to see. And it really sucks, because like I remember 2016, 2017 Overwatch, when there was this whole mystery about like the Sombra story that was going on for months. They had like these off-site, like there was code in this image that tied into this, and it was like a hacker character, and it was so cool. And they kept with these awesome character designs, and even the new ones have pretty interesting character designs, but it's all just, it feels so soulless compared to what the original vision of Overwatch was. Jeff Kaplan, the lead, left amid the...
Well, there's so much speculation now that he left because of this. And NDAs meant he couldn't talk about it.
I mean, this possibly paired with all of the controversy surrounding Blizzard. Jeff Kaplan, he luckily, because he is another absolute legend within the scene, he wasn't part of the controversy. He stepped down because Blizzard was not the company he wanted to work for if it was going to allow all of this stuff to actually happen over the years. And it's just gone downhill ever since. And it sucks to see, because again, it's a really awesome game. I love the art style. I love the characters in there, the voice acting. Everyone puts so much care and love into the game, and now it's being just sort of
scaled back.
And that, you can tell with all of Blizzard as well. People are unhappy with a lot of the recent World of Warcraft stuff. I know this is more general gaming than esports, but World of Warcraft has seen a bit of a downfall as well, and it really feels like Blizzard is probably not going to be a titan of the industry in 2 years. I could see when Riot comes out with their MMO, possibly the tides begin to shift and Blizzard becomes irrelevant.
Well, it would be very interesting, and who knows what will be in store for Activision Blizzard, especially like there'll be a crap ton of news about in the coming weeks about the Microsoft buyout there anyway. But that's a story for another time. In fact, if you were watching the weekly show last night, you would have heard us talking a bit about that. It's a very interesting time for Activision Blizzard. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you everybody for watching. It's been great. Thank you, Mercury, for joining us again. Problem. Thank you to our Patreons for watching and being just generally amazing legends and supporting us here at Game on Oz. Yeah, that's it, heart. Big heart. Don't forget as well, if you are in our Patreon, you get a chance to win our box of Magic cards here. We've got 2 that we're going to be drawing out, so 2 people are going to be winning those. That will be happening in a couple of weeks. The first week of June, we'll draw that. So everybody, going to be you better get in your Patreon if you want to win those. I think it's cheap. Like I think the base is like $8. It's like buying a raffle ticket. Go for it.
Absolutely.
Just do it.
And hopefully our, incredible podcast here does not get immediately dated by some news that's going to happen tonight, which is
going to
Wednesday.
happen. It'll probably happen. Like at least news of Overwatch 2 broke today, so we could talk about that.
Yeah.
But there'll be something will happen. There's always news coming out.
I'm convinced that the LCO timed the announcement of the Vertex thing specifically to spite us, because it happened at 4:03 p.m. 4:03 p.m.
Fun times. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time, and don't forget to celebrate your wins.